Why you should trust God when things go wrong. Many of us struggle to find light in the darkest moments of our lives. Some people turn to God, others turn to self-destruction, and some people just give up. We all need a guiding hand in the darkness, and that's where God comes into play. God never abandons His believers when we are simply caught in the middle of an existential crisis. Many think that they can solve problems on their own when they sail through rough waters. After taking a while in the most painful journey, they later realize that trusting God is the only solution. Here is the most appealing testimony of Maria. She narrates how God intervened in her darkest moments in a miraculous way. Please watch the entire video to discover how much God has blessed Maria. Can you tell us about your life and how did you start to believe in God?
I was born and raised as a Catholic. I already have a clear understanding of who Jesus is. I went to Catholic schools most of my life, and in our school, religion is one of the subjects as well. Many of my values, beliefs are all rooted in Bible teachings as well. But the deeper understanding of His love, relationship, I did not feel it well. I thought relationship with Him is more of being obedience to our religious practices, like going to Mass and Mass also during holidays of obligation. There are so many also different traditions that seems to be the way in honoring God. I grew up and became independent eventually after my college, and that's also one of the reasons why I became more distant from God. So I thought I can do everything on my own. Needless to say, I put Jesus at the back seat of my life, and I hardly have time even to say a little prayer. My life was a little bit mess to begin with. Though I was raised by my grandparents, who's been very supportive and very loving, because my parents were too busy with their own life. That's why they probably decided to give me and my elder sister to my grandparents. They were separated, and they chose to have different relationship. That's why I have lots of brothers and sisters of different mothers, fathers. It's kind of chaotic in a way and very confusing. So I just live my life without even have time trying to know them. I spent most of my time in my office, and I really do not have time for family. So when I got married and have a daughter, I married because I thought things should be different, and having not having that kind of traditional family, I thought maybe I can have one myself. So that was my first dream when I got married, to have a family that I never had. But then I was so overwhelmed with my work and so career driven that I did not really focus my life in raising my family. My daughter even once said that I love my work more than her at one point. My career demands a lot of my social life, time away from home, travel, parties. I even have vices like smoking. I smoke a lot, drink a lot. It's one way of my stress reliever at that time. I can say that I had a pretty good life So I thought my husband and I were managed to provide for everything that, what we need. We're able to have our own home, cars. We were able to send our daughter to expensive schools. And at one point, we were able to put out our own business. But with all this busy life, we end up drifting apart as a family. But to the unexpected turn of events, especially when our business starts to fall, and with some bad financial decisions, my husband decided to look for better opportunities. And to our surprise, he found one, but then in a different country. We don't want that option, but we end up doing it because there was no other option available for us to regain what we lost. He asked me to join him here in Singapore. I don't want to do it, for that would be very difficult for me. But I have no choice. New environment, and now I have another child, so I have 2 kids in tow. I agreed. But again, the worst is far from over for us. Barely a year that we were here, an economic recession kicks in. And the worst time of our year for us, because I was then pregnant again for our 3rd child. And to make matters worse, he got canned. He lost his job. Too much to take for me. That was the time I started questioning God. What is going on with my life? Was he punishing me? Is he real? These questions come to my mind because it's like a 360-degree turn from a very comfortable life to nothing. But if we decided to come home, there's nothing also left for us to come home to. So that night when he broke the news that he lost his job, I just decided to free my mind and went out for a walk. And fortunately, I just end up in front of Lyceum Church in Tampines. And then there's this lady who came up to me. Probably she just noticed that I was just standing here looking at this building with a cross. My mind was so blank that time. And she just approached me and said, if you are having something so you're going through something right now, just come to Jesus, she said. And she said, the church is closed right now, but you can come back on Sunday. You can try to attend the Sunday service. But of course, I didn't, because I know it wasn't a Catholic church. I am a Catholic, so to us it's a different thing. But then when I get back home, my mind keeps on replaying what she said to me. She said, come to Jesus. And that night I prayed. Prayed that I never prayed before. It feels like there's someone I know that I can run to, I can help to. So I cried out to him. And true enough, he answered me. And that's the time that I began to seek him.
Have you ever witnessed a miracle? Are there any manifestations of God's power you have experienced?
I have experienced some miracles in my life that I can say, but to me, miracles is not it's not that grand that, like blind can see, things like that. It didn't happen to me. I mean, I don't have that kind of miracles. But for me, I consider my change in my life is already a big miracle. It's like Jesus pulled me up from being the mess life to a very, very quiet and peaceful life that I have right now. That to me alone is already a big miracle. But I see also some little things that He does in me and my family's life. Oh, I remember one time when my husband got canned from his job, the one that I told you earlier. After I begged and cried out to him that night, just the following day, he sent somebody to us to help us get through it. A stranger. A stranger who really went all the way just for Armand and I to be able to survive in that crisis. And I also remember that in around 2014, I got sick, really sick. That I decided to went back to the Philippines so that somebody can take care of me. I have to leave my husband here. So I went home so that my family back home can take care of me. And someone will look after my kids while I'm trying to recover from my sickness. I remember fearing for my life. But my kids were still small, so I know I cannot leave them yet. And I asked Jesus to heal me. And He did. He did. That makes me more desire Him. And my family can see the difference in me. I no longer did have that appetite for the world. I just want no more. No more of Him. He even delivered me from my bad habits, especially smoking. I was a heavy smoker. He delivered me. I just woke up one day. I do not desire it anymore. I hate it. Not just me, but my husband as well. We have that deliverance of that bad habit. Jesus set us free. He did set me free. Probably the more you desire Him, the more you lean towards Him. Sometimes there's this thing that the enemy would come after you. Probably because they thought they got me already. But when I receive that, when I commit my life to Jesus, it doesn't stop. There are also times that, my eldest was 19 that time. Had a very, very bad depression. She went to a depression. There has even come a point that I don't know how to deal with it. And I do not have my husband with me in Manila to help me with this. And to make matters worse, there are also my house also was I don't know how to say it, probably haunted. Things would move. And that even at one point, I see things. The kids were very, very scared that night. We sleep in one room. They do not sleep in their rooms. They were scared every night. But despite all that, I stand on my ground. We never moved. We never leave my home. I never left the house. Because I know the power of God. I have a bigger God. And I know He is with me now already. And I know He will not allow this enemy or whatever or demons to ruin me or hurt my family. So I just cling to Jesus. And then I know He did help us.
How do you trust God when you were in the midst of a storm? How can you motivate someone based on your personal experience?
In John 16, verse 33, Jesus said, I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. We will all go through a storm in our life. We can easily get shaken. But how do we respond whenever we are in that situation matters more. I encourage you that you trust God. Trust Him 100%. Disregard it will, if His way will be not your way, or you may find it difficult, but trust Him. Never doubt His plan. We may not understand it, but always remember that He is in control. He said, take heart, I have overcome the world. And I know that includes our sickness, our transgression, our iniquities. I trusted Him, and I saw how God works in my life. He said, I have overcome the world. We could not ask for a greater assurance than that. You just have to keep on pressing on Him. And the more you will find yourself in peace, you will see that peace. If you just keep on trusting Him, eventually you will learn to die to yourself. You will no longer run after the things of the world. And that the more you die to yourself, the more peace overflows in your life. And life becomes more easier. So in my experience, I have learned that all these troubles that I went to, it is all just because of me. My bad choices in life. And it's because it is a self-centered life. I am so full of myself. Now, I learned to not only trust Jesus, but I always ask Him to have His way in me. Now it's not about me anymore. It's all about Him. Jesus really set me free. He saves me and everyone who comes to Him, everyone who receives Him. God loves us so much. We may not have that bigger understanding of His great love, but all I know is it is so great. Even though our sin is great, His love is greater. He can forgive any sins. You just have to receive Him and repent. In Psalm 91, he said, I will rescue him. I will protect him. He who acknowledges my name. In many battles in our life, I learned to trust him. I learned to praise and worship him, even in difficult times. Because sometimes in difficult times, you will see the power of God moving in your life. Sometimes we have to go through this so that we may know him. And so that we will identify our true purpose and meaning in this life. I hope my story will inspire you in a way to seek God, to trust God. For me, this is the message of my life. Trusting God. I'm not saying my life is perfect now. I know I still go through. We still have our worries. But I'm more at peace now because I trust him. And I know he will see me through. And I know he will see you through also.
Thank you for sharing your story, Maria. It makes me happy to hear that you have faith in God and that he has proven himself to be powerful in your favor. Viewers, thanks for patiently watching the video until the end. Please subscribe to our channel and press bell icon to get updates on further videos.